Welcome back, Creepers.
Welcome, welcome.
Hopefully, we have fixed the, the error that the ID10 error, or however it is, basically idiot error.
It was a mistake.
So we had a silent podcast.
It was a good, solid podcast
It
too.
was. We're gonna try. We're gonna try and bring you with us on this adventure. So we're talking about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And I start off by just a snippet of The Raven because this point is a lot. But it starts off, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Odd distinct, distinctly, I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember brought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished tomorrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And then, and the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." And I'm going to leave it at that because it's another
Quite.
4 pages.
Yeah, quite long.
But that gives you a little bit of an idea as to the depth that Poe would go with his writing. He was very
He wrote a lot of horror without it being horror.
yeah, like
It's dark.
very eloquent writing and very descriptive and morbid.
Yeah,
It was
very morbid.
very
And he is one of my faves. I mean,
mine
like,
too.
he's one of my faves. Like, Telltale Heart, the project on it.
So mad though that it took us going here before you'd ever been to the Poe Museum.
It is. I just have never. I visited downtown so often and saw it sitting there and always said, I'll go, I'll go. And yet,
You didn't.
never did.
Well, I'm glad I got you to go.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, my highlight of the day was when you walk in and they have a chair and it says, sit here. And you sit in this chair with the upholstery as if it was from his era, and to know that possibly Edgar Allan Poe himself sat in that chair. So there's like a couple of them through there. I want to say 3 or 4.
We sat in all of them.
And we sat in all of them. Like, I wanted to experience where one of the greatest writers have sat in his past and bring it forth to me.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
So a little bit of a backstory about the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. It began when Howard Whitley and some others decided to create the state's first museum to a literary mind in his hometown, because Richmond is Edgar Allan Poe's hometown. So in 1906, they didn't have enough public support for their endeavor. But a mere 10 years later, when the Southern Literary Messenger, who employed Edgar Allan Poe, the building was slated to be demolished to widen 15th Street, which they then decided to widen 14th Street instead. But Whitty chose to salvage the materials from that demo to put back together in another location, uh, Archer and Annie Jones Historic Preservationists were renting Richmond's famous old stone house and decided that the empty lot behind the house was the perfect location for a memorial garden. So Whitley used the bricks from the SLM building to pave the garden's paths and build a shrine for Poe, the shrine that we saw there
Yeah.
in the back. So the old stone house is the oldest residential building still standing in Richmond from the 1700s. Even though Poe never actually lived in that building, he does have strong connections to the area and that home. In 1824, Poe was a part of the Junior Honor Guard, which was tasked with escorting Revolutionary War General Marquis de Lafayette around Richmond. Afterwards, they took him to the old stone house, where it is reported that Poe stood guard outside the home. Fun fact, it is believed that the home was built during the albeit brief reign of King James II from 1685 to 1688. So that's pretty interesting. And the Poe Shrine opened on April 26, 1922, and again with bricks from the the Southern Literary Messenger, which employed Edgar Allan Poe and was only a few blocks from the museum. By the end of the decade, they had outgrown the original buildings and expanded to the three adjoining structures. The Elizabeth Arnold Poe Memorial Building was built using a staircase from one of the boyhood homes of Poe. It was eventually recognized as the Poe Foundation. The Poe Memorial Association has had several presidents. Among the most notable would be two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Douglas Southall Freeman, who was in charge during the lean years of the Great Depression and is the one responsible for the change of the name from the Poe Shrine to the Poe Museum. And you can get all this information from the poemuseum.org. Uh, but that has a little bit of a backstory on it.
In the Poe Museum, it takes you through from the beginning to the end. And like when you walk in to the first building, it shows you like, a bed where he laid. There's a stuffed cat, like my cat on it. And it was freaky, but when you walk through to go look at like a younger version of, a younger time period for Edgar Allan Poe, where we recognize him through the older years, his younger, portraits. I was in there just fascinated by all these things that were in Edgar Allan Poe's home. And all of a sudden I turn around and there's a black and white cat laying in the floor. And I kid you not, I had to look at Amy and say, "There's a cat still on that bed," because it came from out of nowhere. I don't know where this cat came from. There was no way it gotten in the house. I just don't know. And it was a little freaky, but there's a lot of cats over there. So, just be mindful.
It was very reminiscent. It's the cat. It's very reminiscent of Ernest Hemingway, down in Key West in Florida.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not writers, literary minds, and cats. They just go hand in hand, apparently.
Obviously, but there was a lot. And then again, the next building shows some of, the artifacts from Poe. And then if you go upstairs, it's fascinating upstairs. It's everybody's art and how they portray Edgar Allan Poe in some of his greatest, literatures. And then there's like little box there that you can write a little poem and somebody can actually pick it up and take it home. That's kind of the thing I really enjoyed was reaching in the box and picking up something and putting something in it. And the gardens are beautiful.
Oh gosh, so beautiful.
The flowers were bright as bright to get.
That pretty hibiscus he got a picture of.
Yeah, like the flowers were just so bright. And then if you go into the actual, gift shop, they have numerous things to purchase from postcards, pens, cups, mugs, ornaments,
Got
ink
me a
pens,
quill pen.
magnets, anything. I mean, but they also do things within the community.
They they were talking about they do the once a month they do the unhappy hours.
Yeah.
Uh, where they have like live music or events with the community.
Within the Enchanted Garden,
Mm-hmm.
Such as Pride Unhappy Hour, which is June 25th, 2026, from 6 to 9. And then I believe, every other, or no, then they have a couple more coming.
It's like the third Thursday of every month.
Yeah, they just happen to have, I guess, this month, the 25th, the 28th, and July 1st. So check them out. I mean, anytime that you can get down there to just kind of walk through and, put yourself in that era because you can feel something in there.
Yeah.
Walking into his sister's piano, just looking at the wedding ring from his beloved. Things like that. It's just when you walk through history like this, and again, because he's my favorite, I took my time reading every description and looking at everything because, if something was to happen, tomorrow to this structure, I want to know that I took in every bit of it that I could. So it was. I'm glad that I went now versus back in the day because maybe then I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I did.
And so much is different. I used to go all the time back in high school. That's why I'm like, why do you? Because I don't know. There's not a lot of times that we worked together in high school.
Yeah, and I just was sitting here like, when would I have gone? Like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been meaning to go, and when Amy was like, "Let's go," I was like, "Let's go." I mean, I'm all for it now. I guess back then maybe I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I did.
Probably.
Because now I'm like, I sat where Edgar Allan Poe could have sat. Like, that's still in my brain.
He could have taken his meal sitting in the seat that I just put my butt in.
He just sat here, and then I turned and sat there. It was a lot. And, I appreciate good history and everything that was in there. There was things from New York in there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm all about nobody sees things the same. Right. And so when you walk up into that art gallery where everybody's got paintings and things, it's really eye-opening to see what somebody else portrayed him like.
Yeah, what somebody else saw when they read his work.
Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate art. I appreciate history. So combining that together, I'm glad we went. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it.
So we did that, and it wasn't too hot because it was really pretty day.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice weather. Again, because it was, beginning of maybe June, I think is when we went.
That was the end of May.
Yeah. So again, it had to be. I mean, the flowers were like. You could smell them in the air. Mm-hmm. You could see the colors. The grass was green. I mean, things were blooming. So I recommend anytime you're in Richmond, head on down there. They're building a lot up out there. So construction's always going on.
Always.
Been construction since I was like 18, many, many moons ago. But anytime you can go, please go and visit the Poe Museum.
Absolutely.
You'll appreciate it as much as we did.
Absolutely.
Sit in the seats. Feel the presence. But while we were down there, we noticed that the old jail,
the old Henrico jail,
is up for sale. Like, really? What's going to become of it? I would appreciate if somebody bought it.
I would appreciate it if I bought it.
Turned it into a memorial museum based on Richmond history.
Henrico, Richmond, we're all one and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the county, you know, delving in a little bit of history here. That was the seat of Henrico County power from like 1750. I mean, like until 1980 when they opened on Farron Road.
A long time.
Wild. That's mind blowing.
That's how much history is in there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like I said, it was again history, and yeah, what was it, 19? I think it was like 1978, 1979. They had the laundry escape. I mean, I saw it in they escaped out the laundry room, and I saw the pictures. I was looking at Google it, the pictures in the that you can see like
The sheet.
the sheet hanging out the
Yeah.
window, and I'm like, it looked like it was something you had to make that up. It couldn't be
Cartoonish.
real. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I was like,
it's
that
Great
couldn't be real, but
Escape
it
or
really
something.
happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would hope that somebody buys it and it doesn't turn into condominiums
Right?
or lofts.
So much history right there. I mean, that, if I'm not mistaken, that courthouse and building, it was built in the early 1800s. That much I do know. It was in the early 1800s.
Well, like I said, I hope somebody comes along.
Somebody who's interested
In history, please, give it its due.
And it's still, maybe you want somebody to come and investigate or hang out, or
Yeah, just let us walk through. I mean,
let me check it out. Let me see what's going on. I just want to be part of that history.
Yep.
So we also talked a little bit about the Pocahontas Parkway or the Pocahontas Parkway. Pocahontas Parkway. So,
and before we start on that, I will go in with my story from that. Before we even give you facts or well, urban legends or anything, when that first opened, I worked off of Full Street and I lived in the East End. So from one end of where 295 picks up 895, which is the Pocahontas Parkway, and then cross over the bridge, and now you're on Chippenham Parkway, good cut through, things like that. I worked as an overnight auditor for Hampton Inns, and I was coming home, and I want to say it was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning from work. And normally that's my decompression time. You just, roll my window down, play some music, decompress from work. And coming from Chippenham to 295, you go through the toll booth, and you come under, I want to say, I think that's Laburnum is the first set of exits. Right when I got under there, my music kind of malfunctioned a little bit on the radio, and I thought I heard something in my car going on. So I cut my radio down to listen for anything, and I kid you not, I heard in a distant sound of like drum beats, like having a circle of nothing but drums because there was nothing else out there. I thought at first maybe I was hearing something like an owl, something. But the more I listened to it, it was like the beat of that drum, somebody drumming was going on. Mm-hmm. Then you hear all these urban legends about it. And
it's like, what did I really hear?
What did I really hear? So if you ever see me sitting on Poe Parkway, mind your biz, mind your biz. I'm just there doing some investigation.
So I'm going to get into a little bit of the technical behind it because it's a lot. And there was a lot of background. So the Pocahontas Parkway spans about 8.8 miles near Richmond, Virginia. It is the Toll Route 895 or Pocahontas Parkway. Locals call it Pocahontas Parkway, and we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
It connects Interstate 95 and Chippenham Parkway to Interstate 295. So in 2002, when it opened, it has since served as a major connector for the Richmond International Airport, which at some point we will cover. And it used to be Bird
Bird
Airport.
Airport.
That's what we grew up calling it.
Yep.
If you know, you know. Around the area, they have nicknamed it Pocahontas Parkway due to the urban legends surrounding it. So it connects Chesterfield and Henrico together. It has to cross the James River, thus providing a speedier way of transit, bypassing Richmond City altogether. In fall of 1998, construction begins, and traffic was opened in stages starting in, like I said, May of 2002. There is a high-level bridge and interchange at Laburnum Avenue, we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about. The parkway was constructed using funds generated by bonds issued to the Pocahontas Parkway Authority, or PPA, in 1998 under Virginia's Public-Private Transportation Act of 1995. Establishment of the PPA was solely for the financing of the parkway construction. The PPA issued tax-exempt revenue bonds, about $354 million worth, a state infrastructure bank, or SIB loan, about $18 million, and federal funding for roadway design, about $9 million. Like I said, it's not cheap for them to have done all
Mm-hmm.
this. It took 18 months of negotiations between the Virginia Department of Transportation, or VDOT, and Transurban USA, which is a private Australian toll road operator with subsidiaries in the U.S. Transurban executed an asset purchase agreement with the PPA, which is a 6320 nonprofit corporation, and they entered into the amended restated comprehensive agreement with VDOT on June 29, 2006. Because of this, Transurban has the sole right to enhance, manage, operate, maintain, and collect tolls on the parkway for a period of 99 years. They also defeat all of PPA's underlying debt, obligating them to construct the Richmond Airport Connector, which was a 158-mile four-lane extension of the toll road to Richmond International Airport. Now, defeat, you didn't ask, is where you're defeasing the debt, you're replacing the original collateral of the loan with a low-risk security, like a government bond, to generate enough cash flow to cover the remaining principal and interest payments. So it legally voids your original debt, your obligations. It removes the debt from the borrower's balance sheet, and it frees your OG collateral, your original collateral, to be sold or financed. Oh, so it's kind of basically it's white collar money laundering, pretty much. I mean, that's
Basically.
breaking it down. So the loan that they determined, the TIFIA loan amount, was determined through a cost benefit analysis showing that $150 million was the minimum amount to incentivize Trans-Suburban to construct the needed connector. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. So that's how they determined $250 million amount for that.
Crazy.
Crazy. So there's technical stuff. Now let's get to the spooky.
Yay.
So early on, during construction, there were tales of ghost riders, like long haul truckers that saw a trio of Native American warriors wearing breech clothes and carrying torches walking around the middle of the parkway. I mean, because they do that apparently.
Hmm.
So, assuming that the group was staging a protest on the parkway, he sounded his horn at two of them and reported them to the toll plaza. The toll taker was a smart cookie and recalled that they'd heard similar events from other motorists, so they filed an official report. Uh, or I can tell you the story of the engineer working nights to finish the parkway, reporting that he and several of his coworkers saw a native mounted on a horse at the bottom of the bridge. The native appeared to be watching them from the interstate below, but just as they were about to shoo him away, informing that horseback riders are not allowed on the interstate, the man on the horse just panicked. Whew, whew, gone. So others have described tractor spirits, like that would bang on the back of the metal building. Like one worker, she was about to break for her midnight meal, had her can of soda move from one place on the table to the other.
Out.
Right?
I'm out.
You can have the soda. I'm good.
Yeah.
Plaza workers have also reported seeing ghostly figures running back and forth around the loading dock and hearing drum beats mingled with chants, whoops, and high-pitched howls emitted by dozens of voices. But I think it's the longtime residents feeling validated after hearing all of these things for decades. And now everybody else is saying, hey, we hear them too. I think their validation, it's that for me. That
growing up around there, yeah, like growing up around there, and I want to say, and I could be wrong, but I believe that I used to cross the Laburnum before the 895 got put up to go to Haydad's or Palisades. So again, when you go under there, I was like, maybe they were having a party, or something there, something trying to make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Pocahontas Parkway, goes through, when they put that 895 up, they tore down a lot of that land, and a lot of Verona is haunted in itself because of the history, the battlefields, things like that. So,
well, yeah, when they did a pre-construction dig, led by archaeologists from the College of William and Mary, when they found Native American artifacts dating back over 6,000 years. So because of this, historians now believe that this area was inhabited as long ago as 3,500 BC. I mean,
that's
wow.
History.
So it's known that the toll plaza rests on Native perils. I mean, they've proven it.
Yeah.
But no spokesperson for any tribe has confirmed any form of protest by any living member.
Crazy. Because it's not like people are saying they see, Victorian ghosts or anything. They're saying they see Native people.
They're describing them in traditional dress.
Yes. One horseback.
With feathers. I mean,
how many people, horseback ride down 895? I mean it could happen, but I just don't see Native people just driving down, riding down there just across 895. I mean, come on.
So there's a report from Chris Dobie, who at the time was a Richmond Times-Dispatch reporter and covered 2002 incidents of this, and said that Virginia troopers have responded to dozens of calls, and there's one officer who followed up on the spectral image behind the toll plaza office building, which was allegedly also, this spectral image showed up on their security footage. In addition to seeing
that. See that. I'm talking about.
Right?
Goosey.
I want to see that. And then, so it goes on to say, like, at the time, Corinne Geller was the Virginia State Police spokesperson. I think now she's the RTC.
I believe so.
I would still love to go. I would love to talk to her. Be like, hey, because she stated that she was unnerved by the howls and wails she heard when she and Dobie went and investigated. He convinced her. Like, it says, I talked Corinne into going out there with me one night. Dobie says, noting that they spent the hours from midnight to 3 or 4 a.m. at that scene. 3 or 4 in the morning, y'all.
I said 4, so.
Because we heard drums and whooping pretty frequent, intermittent, and off in the distance. Now is affiliated with Richmond Magazine and radio station WRIR. Joby said, if I had to speculate on what it was, I'd say, but there was no body of water near the sound that was being made. And when Corinne and I walked over, it would stop. We spent a good part of the evening wandering around, and whenever we would leave an area, we would hear it again.
Just playing with them.
That's what I'm saying.
It didn't want you there, but then it was kind of like, let's see if we can get you back. I mean,
yeah, that just,
again, if you see me sitting on the side of 895, just
Mind
mind your biz.
right?
I'd love to get a photo or something that I heard that night when it first opened that I could just be like, see, I told you.
Right.
Like, you know, I know 895, you know, again, goes through Verona and Verona's battlegrounds and slave quarters out there and things like that. So Native Americans out there,
I mean,
they've already proven. So, I mean, again, people that are doing these claims are not coming up with, oh, I saw a pretty woman in Victorian clothes walking down the road. They're saying that they see horseback riding, hearing drums, you know, things like that. So, I mean, again, I personally have heard the drummage or whatever that word would be for that. But it kind of, back then, it didn't really terrify me or anything. It just was almost like it was just happening. It wasn't like I needed to go investigate. It wasn't like I felt uneasy. It just was out of place at 4:00 in the morning, just out of place. That's the only thing I can say. And now knowing, you know, what other people are saying, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Well, and we're also part, you know, come from Appalachia. You heard something in the woods at night, you didn't hear it.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, I'm
one of those, you heard something in the woods at night. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
But yeah, so that's
Poe Museum. Go check it out in Richmond.
definitely.
Drive 895 if you can afford it, because it keeps getting higher and higher.
Well, the Australians.
We got to pay some mad tolls for that. But if something happens to you on Pocahontas or Pocahontas Parkway, please let us know.
Let us know. Shoot us an email.
Shoot us an email. Let us know what's going on, because like I said, you might see me down there like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just sitting on the side of the road, minding my business.
So with that, until our next adventure,
keep creeping it real.